live on YouTube. If somebody out there in YouTube land could just drop a comment below this video so that we know that you can hear us and see us okay. Also, smash that like button. Help more people who have liked our channel see this video. And I'm just going to share this inside our Facebook group. And we'll get started right on time. We're 1 minute out from starting. Thank you to all you early birds out there for coming. All right. Cool. All right. It is 2 o'clock on the dot. We're live in Facebook. We're live in YouTube. We're live here on Zoom. You folks that are here on Zoom, this is the place to be. If you're watching on one of those other channels and you want to jump over here, there's a link somewhere below this video on how to join us over here. I'm going to hit record in just a moment. But first, I just want to say hello to Adrian, Adriana, Annette, Bassie, Colin, Dee, Jerd, Greg, Irina, Jerome, Jim, Cosma, Miguel, Peter, Ron, and Susan. Thank you all for coming. I'm going to hit record and get this party started. And those of you that know me, I actually have a webinar checklist right here, so I'm making sure I don't forget a step.
Checklist rule.
Yeah, so here we go. All right. Hello and welcome to this training webinar. We're going to be talking about something super special today. This is about the Course Design Sprint Challenge. And this is not the first time we've run this. We've run this before. And what it is it's an opportunity for you to learn about a process that we've created with Experimenter Studios, with the Experimenter Studio team really taking the lead and bringing us into the world of this 4-day design sprint challenge process. We're going to get into the nitty-gritty about how it all works. But first, I just wanted to welcome you to the call. If you create courses or you create for yourself, you're a DIY course creator or expert, or you are a freelancer or agency professional who serves the course creator or the online school, these kinds of this training is super important, super relevant for what you're up to. Couple housekeeping items. I do want to encourage you to stay to the end. We are going to be doing a Lifter LMS $99 giveaway to one lucky winner who chooses to stay with us all the way through this presentation. We're probably going to fill up pretty close to the full 2 hours that we have here. There will be time for Q&A at the end. So this is good. This is the last time we ran this challenge, we had record engagement in the actual challenge process itself, which was the 4-day event. So this is probably going to cause you to come up with a lot of questions and just clarifying points of what we're talking about here. The goal here is to help you in as short a time possible get a very specific result. So a 4-day course design sprint, what it's all about is in that 4-day challenge window, we have a process that takes you from being an expert, having a course idea, maybe having a course out in the market that's not really getting traction, or maybe your client's struggling. Whatever it is, this process is designed to make sure you're building the right course, you prototype it, you test it, and then you validate it. That we're going to get into the details of what all that means. But first, I just want to welcome the group here you see in front of you. We've got Sebastian, Georgian, and Bogdan from Experimenter Studios, and Kathy is with me here from Lifter LMS. Sebastian was one of the first Lifter LMS customers back in 2014. And when Lifter first launched, we've told the story many times, there was 42 customers. Sebastian was one of them, or quickly in the next round, one of the very early adopters of Lifter LMS. He's no stranger to the Lifter LMS community. Since I first met Sebastian, I've been meeting with him over the years, seeing what he's up to, just comparing notes, seeing what we're doing, how we might collaborate. And this idea came on the challenge to take all his work in project management, in facilitating design sprints, and really merging that with the course creation world and people building training-based membership sites. Sebastian is an awesome project manager. He's an awesome facilitator, which if you're here and you attended the last time we did the 4-day course design sprint challenge, it's a lot to manage, but Sebastian has had it on lock, even though we had, some technical challenges like this tool mural we were using was up, it was down, we were adapting, sometimes the voting thing, whatever, but he really, really kept us on track. And, that's what blew me away most about what we're talking about here. And you'll see as we get into it, the 4-day part is really important, because what happens to course creators and what happens to entrepreneurs is time just starts expanding infinitely and ultimately into, in a lot of cases, something called failure to launch. But if you could build the right course that adds real value, that your market actually wants and has indicated that they're ready, eager, and willing to buy, we're going to talk about it. This is like the missing manual for the lean startup. This is applied to course creators because there's a bunch of theory, but this presentation, what you're going to see about, what you're going to learn about with the challenge, there's some theory in it, but it's mostly about taking the right action in a time-boxed way. We are going to, the course design sprint challenge is not free. So if you're here at the beginning, I'm just going to tell you real quick, if you decide to move forward and invest in your course project to go through the sprint process, which is happening between, can you help me out, Kathy?
14th to 17th.
There it is.
July 14th through 17th.
July 14th through July 17th is when the actual live challenge is happening. And it's a 4-day event. If you choose to register and invest, if you do it within 24 hours of this presentation, we're going to have a fast action discount. You can use the coupon code FAST, that's FAST, and that's going to give you a 10% discount on the challenge. The challenge is $199. You can get to it at lifterlms.com/sprint. So just if you're here, if you're early, if you want to see where we're ultimately heading, I wanted to go ahead and tell you that and not do the classic internet marketing thing and save it to the end and all this stuff. That's what's going on here. But even if you're not ready to move forward right this second, stay for this presentation because you're going to learn about a process and really the a way for course creators to like just declutter all the chaos, use systems and a proven process to prototype, ideate, and validate a course really quick. So I want to turn it over to our fearless leader, which is Sebastian Kazaku from Experimenter Studios, and take us into it. I'm super excited. You're going to hear more from me and everybody else you see in front of you in a little bit, but Sebastian, I am so excited to spool up another 4-day course design sprint challenge.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you for the opportunity to co-host this event with you. Hello, everyone. Thank you for being with us this afternoon or this evening, depending on where you live in the world. My name is Sebastian, and I will try to explain you all the details in the design sprint challenge for course creators. And I'm glad that Chris mentioned about the issues that we faced last time when we did a design sprint and the need to adapt. As a matter of fact, the course design sprint will help you to adapt in a never-changing market conditions. Because if you are able to respond to market requests in only 4 days, you are in a good shape to do a solid business. So if you will, the course design sprint helps you in just a few words to respond quickly to any market request. But before getting into the details of a course design sprint, so you can have the full picture, let me introduce my colleagues, my team members. I will start with Georgian. And if you would like to say a few words, Georgian, thank you.
Hello, I'm Georgian. Welcome and hi to everyone. I'm an old friend of Sebastian, and we did many things together. Right now, I'm located in Belgium, originally from Romania, and I'm a project manager in an academia level for 2 research projects. And on the same time, I'm working with Sebastian in building and running such sprints for course design.
Thank you, Georgian. You reminded me that I need to mention I also live in Strasbourg, out of Romania. I'm Romanian, like I mentioned, but I live in France right now. So we are quite a distributed team globally in a few countries. So thank you for being with us, Georgian. Kathy, you would like to say a few words, although I'm sure everyone in the audience knows you.
I'm not sure if they know me, but yeah, my name is Kathy. I work for Lifter LMS. I've been with Lifter LMS for about 6 years now. My background's in finance and some internet marketing, and I'm in the United States. I live in Minnesota.
Great, Kathy. Thank you. Thank you for being part of this team. And Bogdan, would you like to introduce yourself and say a few words?
Yeah, sure. So my name is Bogdan. Welcome, everybody. And I'm currently living in Bucharest. And my background is in project management, actually, but I do design right now for a living for the past 5 years. And I'm the designer for Experimenter Studio.
Thank you, Bogdan. I'm pretty sure you'll be very busy in the actual course design sprint that we're gonna do in July. So thank you everyone for introducing yourself. Once again, thank you to everyone in the audience for being with us, for accepting our invitation. And let me get into tell you who is this for, this course design sprint thing that you probably heard of even if you didn't hear about it, perhaps you'll have today the opportunity to understand what is design sprint and who can benefit from design sprint. First of all, I know that most of the people in the Lifter LMS communities are education solopreneurs. So if you are in this situation, this challenge, this design sprint is gonna bring you a lot of value, because I do know for a fact from my own experience, launching a new course or even designing a new course only, even if you don't think of a launch, of a commercial launch, it takes a lot of time and effort. So if you are an education solopreneur, you'll find a lot of interesting things. If you are a consultant or a coach, or if you are an author or a public speaker, so if you are somehow in the position to make a living from your experience, from your expertise, from your knowledge, you'll be able to learn how to prototype and validate the prototype of a course in only 4 days. That's the purpose of a design sprint. If you are an expert in any field, in any domain, looking to create a side revenue, for instance, even if you are a company or representing a company, a small or a large company, if you are doing courses for training the workforce, your own team, or for educating customers to activate and your product or service, or to increase retention, either way, you will benefit from learning about course design sprint. Any freelancer providing services of any kind, especially in the area of digital product or digital services, you'll be able to use the concepts which are making part of this method just to apply them in your product design efforts. If you're a training provider working for big companies, for corporations, you'll learn how to create courses very quickly, so you'll be able to impress your customers by providing them with a validated prototype in only 4 days. I'm pretty much in this particular situation. I'm providing training to big organizations and public sector organizations. And I just noticed that instead of spending weeks or even months in defining what course they want to have created, it's really impressive for them to see that we can come up with a validated solution in only 4 days. So if you are a training provider to big companies or even small companies, you might want to consider design sprint. If you are just an education startup, you are making probably the first steps in this space of online courses, please pay attention to course design sprint. It might be the thing that will help you to differentiate from your competitors on the market. If you're just instructional designer working for a bigger company to create, to design and develop courses, you'll learn about a method that will help you to do your job faster and much better. So a wide range of people or companies, of businesses might be interested in using this method. Different business models with different aims, obviously, but for all of us, myself included, the $1 million question is, what course should I create so that learners would rush to buy? As a matter of fact, everything else is just a matter of detail. That's the most important question when you design and deliver courses, regardless of your business model. So if you are looking for an answer to this question, if this question triggers you some interest, it means you are in the right place. And I would like to show you just a few things that might trigger your attention. Like I said before, you probably want to avoid investing effort and money into building a course that nobody wants. So once again, Course Design Sprint helps you to validate your course idea in only 4 days before going into full development. That helps you to focus on what really matters for your learners rather than paying attention to a lot of details, which are not bringing more learners, which are not making learners happier. You will also learn how to get rid of the technology and marketing overwhelm, because we'll do prototyping in a very easy, affordable way. So in only 1 day, we'll be able to build a course prototype. If you are struggling with the so-called knowledge curse or writer's block for course creators, you'll learn in the first 2 days of the course design sprint how to overcome this block, how to make your ideas flow within a team. Basically, you'll be able, by following course design sprint, to move forward with a clear roadmap, and you'll be able to launch confidently your course instead of, just relying on luck. Like I said before, if you follow all the steps in a course design sprint, you'll be able to differentiate yourself from your competitors by offering exactly what people want to buy from you, what your learners want to buy from you. That's a huge difference, because otherwise, if you don't know exactly what they want, you'll need to invest a lot of money and work in ads, in other advertising means or marketing activities. Whereas if you invest only 4 days of effort in finding out what your learners want, you'll make your life much easier in the real development and in the launch of your product. Let me tell you about the thing that I discovered on my own. I'm told you that it happens to me as well, although I started to develop e-learning or online courses 10 or 11 years ago. There is a trap that every course creator falls into. And this is based on the conceptual approach called Lean Startup method. This is not to say that Lean Startup is not a good method. I'm actually one of the early adopters of this method. I believe it came out on the market in 2011 when Eric Ries published his book, and became quite popular between 2013 and 2014. This is when the method really took off. The basic idea of Lean Startup is that you are starting from your own idea. You are building an MVP. MVP stands for minimum viable product. And then you launch your product to real customers. You collect some data from using the product. So you'll be able to validate actually your idea. That's the essence of Lean Startup. What happens in reality is that the build phase gets longer, and you'll start investing more money, more work, and you'll get more frustrated just because it takes longer than you expect. And the launch seems to be very difficult to achieve, the launch point. And it gets even longer, and you spend even more money. Eventually, you will have an MVP, but unfortunately, in so many cases, MVP is not going to stand for minimum viable product, but for most valueless product, just because you actually don't know yet at this point what your customers want. So that's the most common trap we fall into as course creators. Like I said before, myself included. So that's why I tried to look on the market and find some other methods that could help us to minimize the effort we put into this build phase. So actually, this is what design sprint is giving to you. What if you knew in 4 days exactly what course you need to create? Basically, that means you have an idea and you validate it even without a launch in only 4 days. So you don't have to spend months of work in creating the perfect course that nobody wants to buy. That's the core, that's the essence of course design sprint, validating your course idea in only 4 days at the minimum cost possible. I'm going to tell you what the course design sprint is not, because you probably might expect something like a crystal ball or a wand or a magic formula, because it's very popular nowadays on the internet to promote and sell magic formulas or very secret strategies only known by enlightened gurus. It's not a get rich quick scheme either. It's not about how to make money quick on the internet. And it's not miraculous marketing tactics. It's nothing of that. It's nothing magic in this method, except the fact that it's really working. So I'm going to tell you what it is actually. Course design sprint is a combination of 3 main ingredients. It's common sense as much as you can get. It's not a scientific method. You don't need to invest months in learning how to do it. It's just common sense. The second ingredient is teamwork, relying on a large variety of personalities and skills. Don't be afraid to add as much human touch as you want. That's the very essence of design sprint. Let's bring people into the design process. People and not scientific methods. By the way, Lean Startup is essentially a scientific method. We want to complement this method with something that has the human touch. That's why the teamwork is so important in a design sprint. On top of that, you put a very simple process that anyone can follow. It's just a few steps that you need to follow. And if you trust the process, in the end, you'll get a validated course prototype. So seriously, what is the course design sprint in terms of activities, of outcomes, of what we do in a design sprint? It's a step-by-step method for solving big challenges or problems and for testing new ideas in only 4 days. So this method is not only used for creating courses or validating course ideas. It's currently being used by all major players in multiple industries to validate their product ideas. Apple is using it, Netflix is using it, big corporations like IBM, like Dell Computers. All these big guys are using design sprint just because they want to minimize the effort and the money spent in finding out what their customers want. So that's the method. By the way, the method has been designed by a gentleman called Jake Knapp, working for Google Ventures, the investment division of Google. And he came up with this idea called design sprint after investing years in working with various startups financed by Google. So he had plenty of opportunities to learn from what other entrepreneurs are doing in terms of launching new products. So he came up with this idea called Course Design Sprint. He published a book, I believe it was in 2016. So the method is not really new, but it's becoming more popular over the last 2 years. So we can say the method itself is just a practical application of design thinking theory. Design thinking is a wide domain. It's very large, is a knowledge domain, whereas design sprint is just the application of design thinking in an agile manner. I mean, time boxed in only 4 days. So I encourage you to read this book. It's not that expensive. It's less than $20. It's worth reading it. It's an interesting lecture, and you'll get a lot of insights about how Jake has developed over years this method. By the way, the initial method speaks about a 5-day design sprint. Meanwhile, the method has been adjusted, has been tailored, and that's why today we are talking about a 4-day design sprint. The concepts remain the same, is the same flow of steps, is the same process, but with a little bit of tuning, the method, it's doable in only 4 days. Okay, so how do we do design sprints? We apply design sprint as a workshop technique. So everything we do in design sprint is a workshop technique. The entire experience, we call it a workshop. And we do it through a series of individual and group exercises or activities. And on top of that, on top of these exercises, we have a very particular decision-making method, which is based on collecting input as much as we can from all team members in a design sprint, but leaving the final call, the final decision to the sprint owner, who is also called the decider. I'm going to talk about roles a little bit later on. But please keep in mind that we are not just doing exercises like you usually do in other workshop activities. We also have a decision-making method. The main outcome of a design sprint is to help you understand at the lowest cost possible in terms of work and money spent for technology, what course you should create. So it's not about developing the perfect course. Developing the effort to develop the full course only comes after you know exactly what your learners want. Once you have this knowledge, once you have this insight about their learning challenges, about their learning needs, you can start investing in full development. Okay, let me move forward. Design sprint, like I said before, can be used for a lot of things, for creating any new products and services, especially digital products or services. Can be used in larger companies for solving different business challenges, for adjusting business processes, for solving, let's say, strategic challenges for big companies. Is currently being used successfully by many companies all over the world to address all these challenges coming with or determined by the COVID-19 crisis. So companies and people are using this method in many ways. The method is also used for testing and validating any idea, any kind of idea, before actually implementing the respective idea. I've been told about design sprint excuse me, being used also by the policymakers when they try to identify what people, what citizens want in different areas of policy. So it's really a powerful method, but for the purpose of this webinar and for the upcoming sprint, we are only interested in validating online course ideas. So while you can keep the concepts and the method itself, even for other purposes, please focus in this webinar and in the upcoming workshop only on validating course ideas. Of course, we are talking about online courses, but the method could be used for other courses as well, for in-class courses. So what does a design sprint looks like? Like I said, common sense, teamwork, and simple process, but let's get into each of these three components. The process, I'm gonna start with the last one because it's the most important component. So the process starts with what we call discover. Discover means we are broadening our understanding about the learning challenge that we need to address. We are learning about what our learners want. And we do that by understanding their problems, their learning challenge. So please keep in mind, whenever I'm going to talk about the challenge, is actually the challenge that your learners are facing in achieving their objectives, whatever objectives they have. It's not about the challenge we face as course creators to be successful in this business. It's about their learning challenge. The second step is called define. Define means we are sketching solutions. So we are narrowing down our previously gained understanding in order to come up with not one solution, but multiple solutions. So please pay attention. We are not looking for a single solution. We are looking for at least a few candidate solutions. That's the define step. The next step is called develop, because this is what we do when we build a prototype. We develop. We are selecting a solution previously defined, and we are building the prototype. That's the purpose of the third step. While the fourth step, deliver, means we are delivering a validation. So we are not talking about delivering a final product in this cycle, but delivering the validation of our prototype, which means the validation of the course idea. So that's the backbone of the process for a course design sprint. As you can see, it's really not that complicated. It's only 4 steps, 4 logical steps, and you can remember them even by letter. All steps are starting with letter D. So everything is about D. D from design. So it's very easy to remember. Discover, define, develop, deliver. That's the process for course design sprint. Actually, this process is based on a concept called double diamond because of the shape of this visual representation, which has been published or promoted probably 20 or 25 years ago by a research group in United Kingdom. So it's not really something new. It's something that works very well in the design business for many years. And this concept of 4 steps is implemented as a series of workshop activities, like I said before. Altogether, these steps are making the course design sprint. Basically, we can say that in the first 2 days, we are doing ideation. We are not touching the development part. In the first 2 days, we are not doing anything like creating content or setting up the learning management system or doing I don't know, lessons, creating lessons or courses, nothing of that. We are just ideating. The last 2 days of the sprint, day 3 and day 4, are dedicated to implementation. The implementation of the prototype and then validating the prototype. So these are the 2 main components. First, we ideate, and then we implement whatever the output of ideation is. Let me talk a little bit about the team. A design sprint is done usually by a team made of at least 4 or 5 people, depending on the nature of the challenge. For more complex challenge, probably we could use more people in the team, like 7, 8 people. But from my experience, especially for testing course ideas, it's better to work in a small team, like 5, maybe even 4 people. I believe we made it in 4 or 5 people last time, Chris. I think we've been
Five.
5. Yeah. Okay. So, like I said before, the team is made of multiple profiles, and there are different roles in the team. It's not a flat team. You see a few roles highlighted because I have used the yellow boxes to define them. I'm talking about facilitator, decider, and the expert or subject matter expert. These are the core roles, the most important roles in a course design sprint, and we'll see why in a minute. Apart from that, we need also people who can contribute their experience as developers, as instructional designers, or designers in other ways like visual design, or technical design. Everything can be subject of design. But please bear in mind that the most important roles are facilitator, decider, and subject matter expert. You cannot do a sprint unless you have these 3 roles. You can have 2 or 3 developers, or let's say 8 developers, but you cannot do a sprint without having a decider or an expert who is providing the knowledge related to the topic, not to mention about the facilitator. Also, please bear in mind that usually decider and subject matter expert are the same person, especially in very small teams. You can say the decider is usually the owner of the business, so it's very likely they will also be subject matter experts. So it's not uncommon for a single individual to play multiple roles in a design sprint, especially decider and subject matter expert. The common sense that I told you about is represented by 4 core principles. So you see, everything is symmetrical somehow. We have 4 days and 4 principles. It's very easy to remember. I would say the method is quite elegant in the way it's represented. The first principle is called together alone because we work independently towards a shared goal, towards a common goal, and we share the results of our independent work later on. So we are not working in the same time on the same thing. We are taking our part of work on a side, we are working on it, and then deliver the results back to the team. The second principle is called tangible discussions because we want to never discuss without showing something. It's not just a collection of endless meetings, endless talks. Discussions can only be done if you have something to show. Could be a sketch, a concept, a prototype, the result of a testing, but basically we don't discuss unless we have something to show. That's the essence of tangible discussion. The third principle, it's quite popular among education entrepreneurs. Getting started is way more important than being right. Basically, that means we are not looking for perfection. We don't want to build a perfect course in the first run. Moving fast is way more important than having a second and the third guess and spending weeks and months in just, making it perfect. Design sprint is not about perfection. Design sprint, that's why it's called a sprint. It's about being fast or moving fast towards your goals. The fourth principle of design sprint is called don't rely on creativity, which might sound a little bit counterintuitive for many people because design sprint is about creative thinking. And I believe you might say, how shouldn't I rely on creativity if it's a creativity technique or method? Well, the answer is quite simple. Instead of relying on someone in the team being the most creative person or the so-called creative hero, rely on the process and on the teamwork. So once again, it doesn't mean we don't want to get creativity as a result of this design sprint, but we don't rely on individual or heroic creativity. If you work in bigger companies, you probably know that in any design group or product management group, there are people who are usually coming up with ideas, probably most of the time good ideas, but they are so-called the creative heroes of the company. First of all, it's not good to rely only on them. It's better to rely on a team effort and on a process to generate more and much better ideas. Second, in a small company, or if you are working alone as a solopreneur, you can't rely only on yourself or someone outside out of your business to be the creative hero. So rely on the creativity of the team, coming from the team effort. Okay, let me get into the details. By details, for each of the 4 days, of the 4 steps, I mean activities in each day and outcomes that you get in each day. Day 1, the first step would be to frame the challenge or to understand the challenge. This is where we'll try to understand the challenges faced by our learners. Once again, perhaps it's better to call it learning challenge, because this is what our learners are facing. They're facing a challenge in learning something new. The second step would be to define a focus area. We cannot cover everything. We cannot solve or address all the problems, all the challenges. We need to be very focused and to choose a focus area. That's the purpose of the second exercise. And the third one gives us the possibility to sketch possible solutions. Not only one, not two, as many as we can, depending on the team size, because we want to have the opportunity to choose from multiple solutions. But for the day 1, just think in terms of creating multiple solutions. The main outcomes that you get in the first day is that you know precisely what learning problems you need to solve for your learners. And the second outcome is that you already have a bunch of candidate solutions in only one day. So just imagine you are spending 8 hours of teamwork, and at the end of the day, you'll know exactly what your learners are facing in terms of problems, and you already have a few solutions, a few candidate solutions. I think this is quite powerful for only one day. And speaking about this first exercise, framing the challenge, it's about collecting more information. It's about understanding the problems of your customers, of your learners. It's about creating conversations or meaningful conversations with your learners. I'm gonna ask Chris, because he was conducting the expert interviews in the first day. What is your insight, Chris, about this part of the sprint, about this part of the exercise, creating conversations with the subject matter expert?
I would say, first of all, like if you're going to do this is it's really important to have focus. What's in short supply in the world is 2 things: attention, 3 things: attention, deep focus, and care. So when you have a subject matter expert and you're getting into what their business is about and what they're trying to solve, and what they're all about, what the challenges are for their learners and everything, when you get with somebody and you're 100% present and you're asking good questions, which you provided a lot of great questions, Sebastian, which you're going to get inside the challenge of how to, the right questions to be asked so that you can, frame the challenge as well, and, ultimately define the focus area for the course, and the solutions become a lot more apparent. But it happens with that full focus with the expert, and you can inquire yourself with these questions, but going through it as a team and having the expert kind of relax and not also be the interviewer, like having somebody really get in and interview them, is super powerful in unearthing the core problems. Because I think the big issue with a lot of course creators out there is that we can get a little bit focused on what we need. We want to make money, we want to build a business, we want to quit our job, we want to, make this big impact in the world, or serve this group of people, or disrupt something in some way, or make a big or small change. But when we really get into the core of like what we're actually doing and what's the result and the transformation that people want, and really start framing the challenges of getting that, both understanding and getting possible solutions through that, it's super powerful. And when I first went through the process with Experimenter Studios on the last time we did a 4-day course design sprint challenge, I was blown away at the end of day one. And I think that's why at the end of it, I've never run a webinar before. This was, a 3-day webinar with that many people staying all the time through all the calls, all the way to the end. And this was not a webinar. It was it's not just like an hour webinar. It's a 4-day challenge. But anyways, we'll talk about more about that later. But I just want to say, after day one, and really digging in and being present, having deep focus, attention, and a problem, solution kind of focus with that expert, that's, there's everybody who's watching this right now. If you're the expert, you're sitting on this like treasure. You just need the right questions to help surface and get clarity and focus to get out of this failure to launch mode, or things taking too long, or perfectionism. So those are just a couple ideas that I had around this part of the process.
Thank you, Chris. Very, very useful insights. In all honesty, I couldn't have said it better. The purpose of the first day, like you just mentioned, the third element is caring. Indeed, that's one of the core principles in design thinking. Is the first step. It's just starting the design thinking to empathize with your customers, in our case, with your learners. So it's all about empathy, and instead of, asking for course requirements, helping people, your learners, to uncover, actually, while they are talking to you, to uncover their learning needs or their learning challenges. So it's a very interesting day. It's a very intense. It's 8 hours of exercises, but the outcomes are worth the effort, in my opinion. I'm going to show you just a visual representation prepared by Bogdan of the outcomes coming from the first day. On the left side, you have this map and the focus area. This map is made of 3 major stages: discover, learn, and apply. This is how we represent any learning journey, regardless of the topic of the course, regardless of who is the learner. Any learning journey can be represented in these 3 stages. And you see that area with a red border. This is where we want to focus. By the way, these visual representations are not created artificially. They are just improvements, visual improvements to the outcomes we actually got in a real sprint, which we did in April, if I remember correctly. So these are real artifacts coming from the design sprints. They are not just made for the purpose of the webinar. The second image is how we represent various solutions by using the same discover, learn, apply journey, or 3 phases journey. So expect something like this as major outcomes of the first day. I'm going to move to the second day, in which our job as a team is to select the solution which best answers the challenge. So we understand what is the challenge. We have multiple candidate solutions, and we'll try to select the one that best answers the challenge. The second step will be to create the storyboard, because actually that's the main outcome of the second day, having a blueprint for your course prototype. You don't need to think, what should I develop when you are prototyping. You already know that, and you have a clear blueprint. This is what I call a storyboard, a blueprint. So you know exactly what you need to develop as a prototype, and that's why it's possible to develop the full prototype in only one day. Georgian, you are a developer mostly. So what's your view? What's your take on this thing called storyboarding?
Well, I think the most important thing about the storyboarding is the fact that the storyboarding, when it's ready, it should not leave any open questions for the prototypers. So for the next day.
Exactly.
It also provides a clear and a linear sequence of steps that the prototypers will have to implement during the next day. Also, I think it's essential to keep the team aligned in the next day, and to keep the team focused on creating a prototype of the course and not a fully functional course, because during the prototyping, the team will tend to build things as in real life as we are going to market, which is not the case.
Yeah.
And another important aspect is, I think, is the last day when we have the test interviews, the user test interviews, and the storyboard will be used as a baseline for conducting these user test interviews. It's we know where we start and where we want to go, and we can guide, the interviewer will guide the user testers through the whole process using the storyboard.
So basically we get clarity with the storyboard, and we also get a baseline which help us focus on what really matters in prototyping and testing, instead of, you know, derailing from what is really important for our learners. Thank you, Georgian. I'm gonna show you an example of a storyboard. Of course, it's kind of visually improved, but this comes from a real sprint. That's the way we do storyboarding. We are using a tool called Mural. It's a cloud tool. Basically, it's a digital whiteboard, nothing fancy, nothing difficult to use. And this is what you'll get at the end of the second day of design sprint. I'm going to move to the third day, which is quite clear. In the third day, we do the development, not of the full course. We develop just the prototypes. So the outcome is that we have a course prototype ready for testing. So we are not closing day 3 unless the prototype is ready for testing. And in the sprint, you'll see we have several ways to do this readiness assessment. And speaking about the prototyping, which in case of online courses means a lot of things, means creating content, means the learning management system. I'm going to ask Chris about prototyping the LMS with Lifter LMS. What was your thought about using Lifter LMS after you've seen it used as a prototyping tool in the previous sprint?
I was kind of blown away because to me it was, and Sebastian gave us a great quote. We haven't put it on our website about what's possible, but when we built Lifter LMS, we designed it. We wanted it to be as accessible as possible to anybody to kind of go to market, validate, prototype. I didn't have that language yet of prototyping versus launching MVP and all the nuances there, but now I really understand it. So with just the core Lifter plugin by itself, or you can fully prototype from any WordPress site a course prototype that you can conduct and use to develop, go through all these steps, and then test it with real users, which the last time we did it, we had 5 users that, you know, were interacting, and we could see them with their camera on and how they're using the site. And it's really mind-blowing to see somebody interacting, and you learn so much. that like, all right, that's good, that's not good, but you're not guessing. And Lifter, just with the one screen course builder and also Lifter can't take all the credit. It's also just the power of WordPress and, you know, blocks and, you know, contact forms, all this stuff. People can, you can create like an experience where people, you know, kind of discover, learn, and get ready to apply with just Lifter LMS. And that's really the value of the prototype, is to see, not like, is our ideal learner getting it? Do they understand it? Do they want it? Can they use it? Does the workflow make sense? And it's not a one size fits all. This is the crazy thing about Lifter. What makes it so powerful is super flexible. Like, yeah, I mean, you could use it this way, you could use it that way. WordPress, multi-instructor, one instructor. There's all kinds of stuff you can do. Membership site, online course, internal training portal, flexible. But you can prototype all that fast. So when we went to I'll just end it with this comment that when we did the prototyping in the exercise, after a couple hours or a couple work sessions, it's done. It was ready for test interviews.
Yeah.
And I was just kind of blown away, like, wow, I can't believe that we got something ready that fast. And then after you validate and everything, I mean, you're ready to roll. You still have more work to do to get ready for the true launch. But if the validation works out well, or let's say maybe I would recommend going through the process a couple times to like really fine tune the prototype. But it's amazing what's possible there. And I would just go far as to say is that, like, and by I mean the Lifter LMS team, created a tool, but Sebastian and the Experimenter Studio team showed us how to use it in the early stages in a way that I'd never realized was possible. And it's not only is it cool, it's almost essential to use it in this way, to have to make sure you're building the right course in the right at fast for the right market in the right way. It's awesome. So thank you for showing me how to use our tool.
That's a good one. Thank you for building this tool, Chris, because I'm going to tell you something. For me as a facilitator, as a design sprint facilitator, it's really very important to be able to rely on sound technology. If your technology is not good when you do a design sprint, you won't be able to finish the prototype in only one day. So as a facilitator, I need to rely on sound technology, which you provided with Lifter LMS. I've been part of your journey, like you said before. We started 6 years ago. So for me, it's very important to rely on a good tool, on a tool that is very easy to use, even for beginners. And I would add one more thing related to using Lifter as a prototyping tool. You don't need to change the tool for the full development. The prototype is only the course, but you already have the LMS. You just need to improve your course. So you'll be using the same tool. You don't need to switch tools like you do in prototyping another digital product. For instance, if you are prototyping a mobile app, you might use tools like Figma or other specialized tools, which are just faking the real application. And when you go to development, you need to change the technology. You'll need to go into development tools, real development tools. That's an effort and that's a cost. With Lifter LMS for course builders, you are using the same tool for prototyping and for full development. And that's really money and effort saving.
And just a quick comment on that. Like in software, we see people build a prototype with like a slide deck or a tool like Balsamic, and then they go into the code. But what you're saying, which here again, you're teaching me how to use my own tool, is you don't have to switch. Just start, develop it in the browser with Lifter and WordPress.
Exactly. So it's a tool good for prototyping, but for building and delivering the final product as well. What could be better than that, honestly? But apart from the LMS, which is the backbone of any course, online course, we learned from the previous design sprint that people are also paying attention to the visual part, and that's why I would like to invite Bogdan to say something about this visual part, because you could say it much better than me. I'm not a visual person, so I'm going to rely on you, Bogdan, to give us your insights on the importance of visual in building and designing courses.
Yeah, sure. So basically, I will start saying that people may think that in the prototyping phase, design is not important, but actually, just from conducting this type of workshops, we learned that the interviewees are very much interested in design. They want to see, they want to have the full experience, not just the functionality, if that makes sense. So
yeah.
I would say that it is very important, maybe not when you're doing the prototyping, but for the overall product that you want to launch, it is important to have research, even though you're just in the prototyping phase. See what's happening in your industry, see what are the trends. Maybe you will think that trends are subjective. Yeah, they are subjective, but if a lot of people are doing a certain thing, especially in design, it means that it is important. You need to follow the trends. Going back to the thing that we are doing this workshop for course creators, it is very, very important to pay attention to the design of the course and of your online presence has to be coherent, has to help your information, your content. It doesn't have to outshine the content, the actual content. And if I'm thinking right now about other things that you can do to improve the prototyping and your future course is also the consistency. You need to have or to keep as much as you can the same design throughout your whole online presence. Yeah. It is important.
Yeah.
So yeah, the thing is that design is important also in the prototyping phase.
Totally agree. As a matter of fact, that was a key learning for me as well. Like I said before, I'm not a visual guy. I couldn't draw two lines to pick colors or do something in this area. I'm totally unable to create a visual design, a coherent or meaningful visual design. I always thought that when it comes about courses, the content and the interactions you create as a course developer are the most important elements, along with the platform for delivering the course. But what I learned from my own harsh experience is that people actually pay attention to design, not for the sake of aesthetics, but for the sake of improving their learning experience. The visual design needs to help the learner to absorb the learning, the knowledge, and not to outshine the content, like you mentioned, Bogdan. So that's quite a good insight. In any case, we just learned from the previous exercise, from the previous course design sprint, that even for a prototype, we need to pay attention to visual design. So thank you for your thoughts about visual design. This is what you'll probably get at the end of the day 3. You'll get a course, a prototype implemented in Lifter LMS. So if you are familiar with Lifter LMS interface, you'll probably recognize that that picture on the screen, which is actually taken from Lifter LMS website. Okay, I'm going to move to the last day of the design sprint, which has two main activities. The first one is to conduct the so-called test sessions or interviews with real learners. We are asking people to start using our course prototype and to tell us as they are using it what they feel, what they think. So it's a real human experience. It's not just software testing. For those of you who might be familiar with software testing, this is not about software testing. This is about testing a human experience, because learning is a human experience. It's not a product, it's not technology, it's not content only. It's a human experience. So we are conducting these test sessions in such a way that will collect feedback from users regarding all the aspects of a course, how they access the functionalities, how they consume content, how they understand what is being presented to them. That's why we are recording all these test sessions and we are collecting feedback. Everything is done on the camera, so we can see also their body language, their facial expressions while they are using our prototype. So that's really important. Last but not least, we are trying to summarize and analyze the feedback we collect, because otherwise we cannot draw a valid conclusion. At the end of day 4, we need to validate our prototype, either to continue with it and perhaps to make some changes or improvements, or if the feedback is totally and completely negative, that means you need to kill the idea and start freshly with a new one. Even that would be, let's say, of huge value, because at least you know not to invest effort in an idea that is not appealing to your customers, to your learners. So the main outcome is that you have a validated course prototype. The keyword here is validation. And you also have a roadmap for doing the full-scale development, because you collected a lot of feedback and you know from that feedback what you need to improve, what you need to add to your course, how you need to tweak it in such a way that people will continue to use it. So that's basically the outcome of the 4th day, the outcome of the sprint. This is where you are collecting the main benefit of the sprint, validating your course idea. This is the artifact coming from the sprint, or a visual representation of it. For each step in the learning process, in the learning journey, we will collect feedbacks, both positive and negative, from at least 5 test users or 5 interviewees. And we'll end up having a huge whiteboard with a lot of sticky notes representing their feedback. This is extremely valuable. This is actually gold for course creators. In only 4 days, you know exactly what your learners want, and you'll know exactly if you want to continue with your course idea and perhaps improve it, or you want to put it aside and start with a fresh one. Once again, sometimes it's better to kill an idea which is not worth investing it, rather than spending months and a lot of money to build something that nobody wants. So either way, even if your course prototype will be invalidated by your learners, you are still gaining a lot of value. Actually, it's a good deal, a good business. But doing all this, conducting all these interviews is not an easy job. So that's why I'm gonna kindly ask Kathy, who managed to schedule and to prepare all these interviews for us in the last sprint, to tell us her thoughts about planning, scheduling interviews, onboarding people, making them feel comfortable with this experience. What do you think, Kathy? What was your, let's say, key outcome from this 4th day?
Well, the feedback from test users is critical to the process of course validation. So as far as scheduling, I would say don't wait until the last minute to schedule the test users, because people are busy. It's good to remind the test users in advance that you'd like to have their video on so you can get their reactions. You should use separate Zoom meetings for each test user so that a different person doesn't hop into someone else's session when you don't expect them there. And you should schedule a short break between the sessions in case one of them runs a few minutes longer than you think they will.
Good point.
And it's good to let the test users know that you're looking for honest feedback to make them comfortable. So positive, negative, or neutral feedback is fine for them to give.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Kathy. Indeed, some people might think, okay, it's just testing. It's not really important. The most important part was to ideate and to build a prototype. You are totally wrong if you think that way. The last day is the step in which you collect the benefit, the real benefit of the design sprint. So you might want to consider investing a lot of attention and effort in preparing everything you do in the 4th day. Otherwise, you are at risk of jeopardizing the whole design sprint. So please, whenever you'll be in the situation to run a design sprint, either with us or on your own or with other people, other partners, please pay attention to the 4th day. Is the most critical one. And please keep in mind, this is not software testing. I've seen a lot of people thinking in terms of this 4th day as software testing. No, it's not software testing. I'm going to say that again because I do believe in that. Learning is not about software. Learning is not about content. Learning is not about many features or multiple features. Learning is a human experience. That's the key mantra for any course creator or instructional designer. It's a human experience. We are building courses, and the courses are helping us to engage with our learners in a learning journey, which is a human experience. Is not about software. The software might have glitches. The content might be less than perfect. Even the visual could be less than, let's say, appealing. But as long as you can build and deliver a learning experience which will help the learner to get involved in what they're doing, to get involved and be participating actively in the learning process, then you are doing fine as a course designer, as a course creator. So once again, I couldn't emphasize more on the importance of planning and scheduling everything carefully. Why would you want to do a course design sprint? Well, if I didn't manage to convince you about the benefits of a course design sprint so far, it means that it's my fault. But just to summarize, in only 4 days, you are going from a learning challenge, which basically is a problem that you need to solve, to a validated prototype. So you have the answer to the $1 million question. What course should I develop so my learners will be happy to buy? That's the main reason for you to consider course design sprint as one of the tools in your toolbox as course creator. So keep in mind just this single slide, if you will. From a learning challenge, from a problem to a validated prototype or solution in only 4 days. I believe that's quite powerful, because I remember the days when I was spending, should I say that, 4 months in trying to come up with a course and to have something tangible to present to a customer. Yes, it happened that I spent 4 months in building a course just to realize that I was building perfectly the wrong thing. Whereas with Design Sprint, I learned how to validate my course, my initial course idea, in only 4 days, along with the team, of course. Okay. The question would be, how could you actually start using this course design sprint in your business? And speaking about business, Chris is much better than me in explaining the business benefits, the business value. So I hope you won't mind, Chris, if you'll take it over from here. I'm going to help you with the slides, but
yeah. Well, and first of all, I just want to say thank you, Sebastian, because you were dropping some quotes in there. I had to type them in, like learning is a human experience, and a lot of that I think is super powerful. And you were really digging into how it's a big problem we have in this industry is it's not about the tool or the video content. I mean, those things are important and they're components, but the main thing is the learning journey. It's, you know, the discover, learn, apply, like those other tools support the process, but they're not the main event. So
Exactly.
I think it's, that's one of the things going through this process with you one time before that you just learn a lot about what really matters in what order. And I think that's one of the most powerful things. But so if you are interested in how you can start using a course design sprint in your business, um, think about it like this. So Lifter has always been on a mission to make things accessible and affordable. So Lifter LMS has a core plugin that's very powerful, and that's free on the WordPress repository. So we try to give away as much value as we can for free. And then you throw on like just one $99 payment gateway. And so for like 99 bucks, you have a for-profit online school. So, but just to talk about the, to frame in this challenge. And by the way, Sebastian, your screen's coming up blank. There it comes. Yeah, thanks for putting that in there. So the Lifter LMS, in partnership with Experimenter Studio, 4-day course design sprint challenge is $199 US. If you take action today while you're on the call or within the next 24 hours from when this call happens, which is Wednesday, early afternoon, East Coast time, we got a 10% off coupon for you. That coupon code is just FAST, F-A-S-T. So that's going to take 20 bucks off the price. So that's 180 bucks to totally 180 your situation, and just get oriented and get progress and confidence and moving forward fast in the right direction. Now, we wanted to make this accessible, but this whole design sprint thing, see, the thing with Georgian, Sebastian, and Bogdan here is these dudes are kind of humble, but they're actually amazingly talented. They do this kind of work at a high level for big companies, and this, like what Sebastian does, is like a facilitator. So the design sprint facilitator leading the process, like kind of generaling or whatever, the whole like leading and guiding the process, making sure we're all staying on track, is a highly valuable skill set, and companies pay big bucks for that, and for the design and the development and all the components of a design sprint. And if you were going to try to do it yourself, you could go buy the book. You could buy like some big training that's for $1,000, $1,500. You could hire 5 to 7 people, put them through the training, because the whole thing is like doing this in a team is important. Okay. I know some of you out there want to roll it solo, but to get the most out of this, it can be your cousin, your brother, your child, your friend, another entrepreneur in a mastermind group, whoever. Maybe you hire somebody to come join the team for the design sprint for 4 days. You just need a couple people for 4 days to really commit and really go through the process. Now, the goal of this challenge, we're going to go through it live. You're going to see how it works. And we're going to have, like, right after you buy, access to the 4-day course design sprint challenge happening on July when?
14th.
14 to 17. We are going to open it up so that you can apply to be the showcase person, where we take you through the process live, which is extremely valuable. But just coming to the event, watching how it happens, asking questions to make sure you understand the process and can run one of these on your own, that's the value. And you don't have to pay to try to figure this out on your own. This is an accurate amount to do it yourself. It'd be $12,000. So we're trying to give you a $12,000 value for 199 bucks, 180, technically 179 if you act now. But if we go on to the next option, this is
the next option, indeed.
This is the done for you. So like, these are the companies that bring in people like Sebastian and Georgian and Bogdan to just do it for their product or whatever it is. So this is like the design sprint service, $15,000, bring their own team members, train the team members so that they can participate. Cause you know, it's one thing to be a professional at running a design sprint. There also is like the people in the company who really understand the product and the market. So everybody's got to work together. There's got to be a bunch of training. And then you got to hire test users. Maybe some of you have participated in a situation where, you know, a company does testing. Like for example, Thomas at Lifter LMS often participates in like Google testing and other software testing things just as a developer.
Yeah.
A lot of companies you have to pay to get test users. So it can get quite expensive fast. It's a $20,000 deal. If you're just like want to outsource it, be like, here you go. I'm not going to get involved. I'm going to get it done for me. This is what you're looking at spending. But let's move on to the next deal. So the course design sprint challenge live workshop is brought to you by Lifter LMS and Experimenter Studios. It's not available anywhere else. You're not going to find anything like this on the entire internet. And I can say that confidently because this is not a $2,000 internet marketing style, make money online, build a funnel, build this persuasive copy thing. And then like the product is kind of an afterthought. This is actually all about the product, which is actually not the LMS and the content. That's part of it, but it's about a human learning journey. And we're going to do it live. This is going to be kind of like reality TV on the internet, at work, international, and you know, one lucky person who you don't have to apply, but if you want to apply to be the showcase, you're going to get like a $20,000 value going through this process, or $12,000 value, whatever it is. You're going to get seriously hooked up. But make no mistake about it, you as an attendee, for the $199, you're going to learn a valuable process. And it's going to be entertaining. Like I said earlier, I was blown away the last time we ran this, how people in time zones all over the world, even inconvenient time zones, are up in the middle of the night, watching the whole thing with us, talking in the chat, communicating with each other, like even forming friendships and stuff inside the chat. It's intense and it's fun. And it's not just something you're going to just like watch and it's not like a traditional $2,000 course thing. It's worth way more than that. And we're giving it away. We wanted to make it accessible. There is a cost of putting it on, so we have to charge something for it, but that's what this is all about. So what do you actually get? What's in the box? And first, let me just say is we're calling it a course design sprint challenge because I want to challenge you. I want to challenge you, the course creator, to invest 4 days in this training so that you can learn this process. And then I want to challenge you again to run that process, because I see way too many course creators stall out, get frustrated, never launch, lose track of what they were even doing to begin with, or who they're serving, or what the offer is. This is going to help rectify all that fast. So that's why this is a challenge. You don't even have to be using Lifter LMS. You could be using another tool. The LMS is not important. Which video camera you have is not important. It's more about a process that anybody can execute. And we're going to show you how to do it. And like I said, it's sort of like the missing manual to the lean startup, which is pretty heavy on theory and some topical ideas. But like, for example, in the lean startup, you hear get out of the building. Well, we're not going to just show you that. We're going to bring 5 test users in. And the last time we did it, we got permission from one of them to record, so you could actually see a live test user experience. And it's mind blowing to watch this kind of stuff with the prototype. But what do you actually get in the challenge? You get all the training for all the workshop exercises. So I would encourage you to come live, to like block it out on your calendar. The people that got the most value out of it last time did that. And we are going to record it, and it's going to be available for a year inside of a course. So you can watch it later or reference it later. but you're going to get access to all that. You're going to get to watch us do it live with an actual subject matter expert. And it's really incredible to see like a team collaborate. It'll make you, I had the aha moment about, oh, this is why the solopreneurs fail, because they're missing this. And I'm a hardcore solopreneur. Like I totally get it. But just have an open mind with the team thing, even if you're having some doubts around, can I put a team together? And can I, get people to prototype my product, my course prototype and stuff like that? You can do it. Just take, I'm just asking you to just come with an open mind. And when you see this process happen, you're going to be blown away. And it's a 4-day event. We didn't stretch it out. A lot of challenges are like 30 days, 40 days, 90 days. I mean, we could stretch this out over a month, but why don't we roll up our sleeves and knock it out over like an intense workshop? This is like an immersion thing. And if you're busy, I totally get it. You could still, if you have a day job, this 4-day process, you could run over the course of 2 weekends if you needed to, or whatever, or spread it out. The 4 days is really important. This is not like a forever challenge. You're going to be able to interact with the team live with questions. So whatever questions you have as we go through it, like if something like doesn't quite make sense, or you think you have like a nuance that you want to clarify, it's interactive. Just because you're in the audience, it doesn't mean that you're not involved. You're very much involved, and we are here for you. Our goal for you is to have the 4-day the design sprint process in your tool belt ready to execute. And you're going to get the recorded sessions in a course that you'll have access to later that you can show, that you can reference as you get into running the process yourself. And you'll also get the templates that you need to run your own design sprint. These are super important. These are tools that are ready to go. Like my brain just relaxed when I got into this thing, because number one, I wasn't alone. Number two, I didn't have to like constantly be inventing everything and learning everything from scratch. That's a lot of you out there are like me. You do that. You're like just constantly reinventing yourself, constantly like, okay, I guess I got to go learn this skill now and this skill. Like these templates, it's not hard to get into. This is an approachable thing that anybody can do. So if we can go on to the next deal, you're not going to spend $20K for a done for you design sprint service for your course. You're not going to spend $12K. We're only asking $199, $199 US. Use the coupon code FAST to get the 20% or the $20 off, the 10% off, just as a reward for fast action. And please mark your calendar for coming live those days as best you can, because the ability to ask questions and whatnot is super valuable. So the link for that is just go to lifterlms.com/sprint. We'll put that link in the chat for you. Thank you, Kathy. So that link will take you to the page to get it. When you get to the checkout screen, there's a coupon code thing. Just put in the word FAST, F-A-S-T, and you'll get the 10% off. So let's go on to the next deal. I wanted to make this a no-brainer for you. Like if I could just go to every Lifter LMS user and be like, yeah, please do this. So we're going to throw in some bonuses to make this a no-brainer. So one, you're going to get a free year of a Lifter LMS $99 add-on. If you're already a customer, you don't need anything else, we're going to hook you up. Just contact us and we'll make that happen. I also have some other bonuses that can help, that really come in handy. And these are born out of whenever I've been asked the same question like 100 times, eventually I'll make a guide around that. So how to design an effective course sales page. I got you. I got a plan for that. All the components, it's laid out in the guide. Pricing questions I get all the time. I've got like five things to consider in your pricing so that you pick the right price for your market. That's included in there. essential plugins, so that, you know, this isn't about the LMS software, but eventually you're going to get a website going. There's like a short list of 10 or so plugins I use on every website. So if you want to know what that is, we're putting that in there, and just avoid the chaos of like 70, 80 plugins on a site and slowing down. Not working alone. As you heard Kathy say in the beginning, she's been working with me for 6 years at Lifter LMS. So the first thing I'd want to encourage you to do, and I know it's hard if you're at the very beginning, but to get somebody, a virtual assistant, to help you, just expand your capacity and just relieve some of the pressure you have on you. And even if you can only start with somebody very part-time, small amount of work, it's something at some point that almost every course creator or person running an online business needs to figure out. I'm giving you the template you can use so that you can effectively hire fast and ask the right questions and get high quality applicants. That's a bonus. And then I have the one-page marketing execution plan for your course or your membership site. If I was going to do a minimal marketing strategy for an online course or membership site that doesn't turn into this forever thing or cost tons of money, I lay that out. I get asked that question all the time. So those are some bonuses. That's, correct me if my math's wrong. As you can tell, I'm not the best numbers guy here, but that's $599 worth of bonuses for a $199 thing. This is not a, you know, I've never liked those internet marketing kind of bonuses things that are everything's worth like $2,000 and all this stuff. If you can have a sales page that converts, how much would that be worth to you? If you could have Lifter LMS and one payment gateway for $99 like Stripe or PayPal or our WooCommerce integration or whatever, I'm trying to remove friction here. If you knew how to price your thing correctly with some simple rules, it's not a one size fits all, but the right questions to ask so that you can come up with the best pricing, how much would that be worth to you? How much would it be worth to you to install a set of plugins and not end up in Facebook group in like 17 WordPress Facebook groups asking which plugins you recommend? I'm not against that. I love asking, but let me save you some time and show you the ones that I see as essential for every WordPress site. And that's based on over, I don't know, 10 years, more than that, 12 years in WordPress. And then the virtual assistant job description. It's one thing to have a job opening, but trust me, if you put a job opening up that's not optimized, you're just gonna, to do a job, hire a virtual assistant well, you need to have a process and a good job ad so that you get the high quality applications, and also clearly communicate what it is that you want that person to do. Because if you just say, I'm looking for an assistant, that's one thing. But this will help you, you know, get quality applicants. And then of course the marketing thing, we're going to show you in this training how to ideate, how to prototype, how to validate. And then after that, you know, once you're validated and it's all systems go and it's positive and your tests are going well, it's time to move into like the next phase of the launch, and then you're going to need to get your marketing plan spooled up, and it's better to start thinking about that earlier than later. So that's $599 worth of bonuses when you get the challenge. So again, that's at lifterlms.com/sprint. Use the coupon code FAST within 24 hours of this live webinar, and you'll get a 10% discount. And that, yeah, that's the that's it. So I'm Chris. I'm from WordPress. We democratize everything. So that's why we give our core plugin away at such an incredible value, to make it accessible worldwide to people anywhere in the world. And we're trying to democratize the stuff like the big companies do, like Sebastian mentioned earlier on, like Netflix, and who else did you mention earlier?
I mentioned Apple. They are big fans of design thinking, and Apple has been one of the supporters. I'm talking about Google. I'm talking about IBM, about Dell computers. I'm talking about airline companies like Lufthansa in Germany. I'm talking about big guys using this method.
Yeah. And that's hey, the big guys figure stuff out. Like, how about us little course creators or education entrepreneurs? Like, let's make it approachable and use this process. I mean, that's one of my hacks is I'll take something, like I'll go to Amazon.com and I'll look at how they lay out the product pages. And I know how many millions and whatever of dollars they've spent optimizing those pages. So I know there's good design thinking, and it's not the colors like the yellow and the whatever, it's the layout, it's the structure, it's what you see, it's the workflow. So let's learn for a lot more approachable price from what has been battle tested inside large corporations.
Yeah.
So
actually,
yeah.
No, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
That's what we tried to develop, to create together for you guys here. I'm talking about the combined effort of Lifter LMS team and Experimenter Studio. We are trying to bring you a method that is being heavily used by big corporations at a very accessible cost. Why? Because we are entrepreneurs ourselves. And I guess I can say that I wouldn't ever pay 20K for running a sprint for my next course. I cannot afford that. I'm not making enough money to be able to spend 20K just for a design sprint. So together with Chris, we try to come up with something, with a formula, with a way to deliver you this experience at an affordable cost. And why? Because like Chris mentioned a few minutes ago, it's a lot about caring. We are in the business of creating and delivering human experiences. This is learning. So this is what we actually try to create for you, a very special learning experience. So you'll be able to participate by paying only $200, $199, instead of, just thinking how would be to be able to afford a 20K design sprint. So we came up with this idea of making it as a challenge and to be able to deliver it to you at an affordable price. So this is how we ended up with this concept.
Yeah, and this is the ROI here, the return on the investment. You do have to, it does cost money, and it does cost 4 days, and then you got to run one yourself. So, can we go back to the previous slide one more time?
Sorry.
So the big, what do you get for the cost? And it's, make no mistake about it, you got your time, you got to invest it. If you're going to do it, I would encourage you to commit. It's why we made it 4 days and not 30 or 90 days. Because I've in my head like mapped out like a course starter thing that takes like 90 days, 3 months, whatever. Like, no, let's go deep and make sure you build the right course that your market actually wants, and do it in 4 days and focus on what really matters. Sometimes we build the course we want to build, not the course that matters most to our learners, that solves their most pressing challenge. And you get to watch us, part of the way humans learn is by watching other humans. This is why our brain has mirror neurons, and it's how babies learn. It's how we pick up language and all kinds of stuff. The team you see in front of you here has been in this industry from different angles for a very long time. So watch us how we run this and how we facilitate this. You're gonna learn a lot, and get past the writer's block. A lot of course creators just, their heads full. It's called the expert's curse. Don't know where to start, or just can't start. And then they start shopping for tools or building automations and stuff. It's like, slow down. Let's go back to the basics and focus on getting past the writer's block of that actual learning journey, and get past the tech and marketing overwhelm. There's a lot of magic bullets out there in terms of marketing strategies, of technologies, web applications, and you know, plugins and themes and all these different things that are magical. But let's get outside of all that and focus on the minimal amount and the overwhelming part of that that you can do really quick. And like the price here, and with the free Lifter LMS add-on, we're making it so you got the tools. The tools are not the problem. You got to make sure you're building the right course for the right people, and that's what we're going to help you do. That they will, like, marketing is not hard when you build the right thing, and it's more of just introducing an opportunity to the right person at the right time who wants it. And this process helps, you know, remove all that friction so that you don't need some kind of complicated marketing funnel or persuasion technique to make a sale of your course or your coaching program or whatever it is. And then also, we're all a little bit overwhelmed, especially in these times. So we're going to help you prioritize like the order of things. I can't tell you how relaxing it is to come into the design sprint and Sebastian's like, all right, this is what we're going to do today. This is how it works. Here's the template. And he leads us through the process. It's awesome. It's very, there's a lot going on, and we cover a lot of ground over 4 days, but there's a process, and it's prioritized, because it's not just about like growth hacking. It's about growth stacking, which is doing the right things in the right order. So that prioritization piece is super important. And then, you know, at the end of this, you're going to know how to run a validated, you know, course process yourself, a design sprint yourself, so that when it does come time for you to launch a real deal course, that you've done that foundational work that so many people skip. And that's why why we're saying there's nothing else like this out there. A lot of the trainings and the workshops and the marketing events and everything are all about the like these tips and, oh, I just got to do this one sales technique, or I just need this magic tool, or I need to combine these two things, or I need this spider web of Zapier to like build an automation engine or whatever. Like that's not what this is. This goes back to what Sebastian was talking about, learning being a human experience, and then designing around that to help people discover, learn, and apply whatever result or transformation they're going for. So let's go to the next one. So this is it. This is the offer here today. So it's July 14th through 17th. And it's 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If that time zone is not convenient for you, I apologize. We have a very international crowd.
Yeah.
But check it out. And even Sebastian and Georgian and Bogdan, they're staying up later to make this happen.
Yeah,
And
we are all living in Europe. I'm in France. Bogdan
yeah.
is in Romania, and Georgian is in Belgium. So we are spread across Europe.
Yeah.
We are spread across 2 continents, actually, both in USA and Europe. That's quite interesting. And it was really interesting to combine various backgrounds and previous experiences. So yet again, it's really an enlightening experience to run a design sprint, especially doing it online with people all over the world. It's really enlightening.
Absolutely. So check out the Course Design Sprint Challenge. It's a 4-day workshop. Mark your calendar, July 14th through 17th. If you can't make all of it, or the time zone is just impossible for you, it is going to be captured. Of course, we're going to use Lifter LMS to hold the training as we record it, and you'll get access to that for a year. I'd encourage you to come from the live training, especially the Q&A parts. So if you are like working the challenge a little bit asynchronously, try to come to the Q&A parts, or at least some of them, to ask questions to make sure you really lock in your understanding of the process. So you get those recordings. You'll get to see us not just talk about it, but actually do it.
Doing it. Yes, indeed.
Yeah. So that's the whole thing. Like, there's a lot of talk on the internet. Most of what you're going to be watching is action. And then that's going to provide the blueprint for you to do that, to run that same set of action steps with the templates we provide, with the training we provide, so that you can get the same result in 4 days. And ask questions. The Q&A, the last time we did this, I've never seen so much interaction and conversation between other attendees, and also just asking for clarification and, commenting on the process and what they're observing. It's very interactive. So, and it's one of those things you kind of get out of it what you put into it in terms of Q&A. Like, make sure you lock in what we're doing, and if anything is not clear or you want us to elaborate on, come to the Q&A. We're putting in the bonuses to make it a no-brainer. So there's $599 worth of bonuses. That's at lifterlms.com/sprint. We are getting into the Q&A area. We got about 15 minutes left here. I see some questions in the chat. And we will take those. I can kind of MC those up. And we will, if you have questions, like, type them in. Now's your time. If you're here, if you're live on the call, if you're not live, send us an email, team@lifterlms.com, and we will answer whatever your question is about the 4-day design sprint challenge. But for those of you that are here, let us know what questions you have. I'm going to start going into the chat and just emceeing it. There was a question earlier about, like, if somebody wants to bring other people, how does it work? So think of this like a workshop, like a conference that you're going to, and you get tickets. So if you want multiple people come, you would need to get 2 tickets. So 2 seats to that. And then, take the training, and, you can then, so like if you're solo, buy 1 ticket, come, learn the process. And then when you get back, let's say you've always been solo, I would encourage you to recruit, a couple family members, friends, some entrepreneur friends, join a mastermind. You might even meet people on the actual class, on the workshop, that you could maybe trade turns helping out with each other's sprints. So, but if you already have a team, go and you want, like, hey, I want my designer to come, I want my project manager to come, I want, the subject matter expert to come, you're going to need to get a couple of tickets. So Deborah asks, will we get recordings of the testers? So the testers is the most sensitive part of the whole recording thing. So if you do decide to come, we are recording this, and, like we said, we're putting it inside of an LMS, inside of Lifter, as a course to watch later. The testers, the last time we did it, we did have 1 tester that was open to, we do record all of them for our own purposes. But in terms of having the audience watch that, I don't think we've totally sorted that out with this time around, how we're going to do that. Think about it, like if a real tester is in there, and they're giving feedback, they don't necessarily want a bunch of people, like, besides the people that are already watching them. So yeah, well, to be determined on that. But we'll definitely see what we can do to try to at least get 1 tester session or permission or something, so that we can at least share one of them. But they're super valuable. I mean, that's, like Sebastian said, that part is very important. It's not just like you can go through like day 1, day 2, day 3 and build this awesome prototype. You're not done. You're just getting started. I mean, you want to comment on that, Sebastian? Like, the testing is like, it's everything.
Yes,
right?
The testing is where you actually get the benefits of investing 4 days in a design sprint. Without this 4th day, you only get a few ideas and a prototype, but you won't be answering the $1 million questions. What course would my learners love to buy? So yes, the 4th day is probably the most important one.
Yeah. Nasim saying she thinks that questions will come during the training session. I bet. Yeah. Well, that just means maybe we did a good presentation here, and there's not a lot of questions. Hopefully we're pretty clear on what the opportunity is here. I do want to clear up for Gerd. he's saying that he just wants to clarify as an attendee what happens in terms of watching us go through the process and then doing his own design sprint.
Oh.
So I think there's a couple things going on. So in general, if you're an attendee, if I was attending this and not on the panel, if you will, what I would do is I would take 4 days and I would come invest in myself as a course creator to learn this process. I'm not going to, I wouldn't want a parallel process and simultaneously run it. You know, you could maybe pull that off, but it'd be a little bit like parallel processing. It's a lot going on. It's really intense. So that would be the way I would recommend doing it. So
Yeah.
let's say if you want to move fast and get progress and momentum in your business like you've never seen before, 2 weeks is what I ask. First week, come learn the process through our $199 course. Next week, execute it on your own using our templates and the training and everything you've learned. So like this is, you could be in a totally different place 2 weeks from now by learning the process and then executing it. So that would be my recommendation there. There is going to be one person after you check out and register for the event and purchase your ticket. You're going to get an email. There's going to be a place you go to get your program booklet. And then you're going to get a form if you would like to be considered and apply to be what we call the showcase example. That person will go through the process live, but they do have to be okay with doing everything in front of a webinar audience like we're doing, which we did last time, and it's fine. It's good. So if you do get selected, we can't guarantee you get selected, but if you do become the showcase, you would have that. You would get the training, but also need to be ready to and our form, it's pretty extensive, all the questions we ask and everything, but you would be going through the process yourself as a subject matter expert for your course. So that is one lucky person is going to get that. So what are the criteria for being chosen as the decider for the July workshop? Well, it's all going to be in the, I mean, you got to fill out the form first, and then we go through a process. There's a couple things, and I'll hand it over to you, Sebastian. We want to make sure somebody's ready to go through it. This is also an educational opportunity, so it's helpful for, it just needs to, let's say, they really need to be like a good fit to start the process and be willing and able and ready to go through it while also being, we're recording the process so that other people can learn.
Yeah.
And so that's really the main stuff there, but care to comment more on that, Sebastian?
Yeah, actually, we are looking for a few major things in selecting the showcase subject. First, we want to work with someone who really knows their topic. I mean, if you're just exploring one particular area, it's not really good for the design sprint if you are not really mastering your topic, your knowledge. The second would be to know how to express your knowledge, your ideas, your expertise, and to care about your learners, and to care to the extent of investing time and effort in designing a learning experience, like I said before, rather than just marketing a course. We are not looking for people who are just interested in marketing a course of whatever quality and making money very quickly. We are also looking for people who are happy to share their own experience in building and designing courses with the other fellow course creators, because this is about sharing an experience. The whole team is sharing their experience in front of you. We expect the showcase subject to be willing to do the same thing, to bring their knowledge and experience and to share it with everyone who will be in the workshop. These are the major things that we are looking for, along with some, let's say, technical details, like being able to record a video of 1-2 minutes, just to let everyone know about your course challenge or course idea, stuff like that. The major things that that we are looking is knowledge of your topic area, being willing to share your expertise with other course creators, and caring about your students, about your learners enough to invest 4 days of quite intense work, I would say.
That's awesome.
The question about criteria used to choose the decider, or actually the sprint customer. We can call it the sprint customer, because the sprint will be delivered to that person for their benefit.
Awesome. And we've got some questions coming in from YouTube. I'm just going to queue up. Dale's asking, he's got several questions. So the first is, this becomes an ongoing process, sort of a the customer feedback loop. Could you maybe speak, Sebastian, to if we do a 4-day sprint, like we might end up doing it a couple times, or like how many of those cycles do you think we do? I know it really depends, but what's a realistic expectation for somebody to go from, how many sprints do they need to do to really nail a course?
Well, it's a journey yet again. So it's a never-ending journey. If you are interested in running more sprints over time, just to gain experience and to become a facilitator, perhaps, you need to invest a lot of effort and time in running multiple sprints. And believe me, you're going to learn from each and every of these individual sprints. So I couldn't tell exactly how many sprints you need to run just to become proficient in delivering the sprint, either as a team member or as a facilitator to some other people. So there is no precise answer or a number like 5 or 50 or I don't know. It comes by doing it, and you'll feel it. You're going to feel it when you're ready to do a sprint on your own. You're going to feel that. I don't know. It might be after 2 or 3 sprints, or after 10 sprints. I don't know. It depends on a person, from a person by person. If you're asking about how many sprints you should run in your business, or if this process should become an ongoing process for building new products or launching new products, new courses, the answer is quite simple. Whenever you want to launch a new product, or you want to launch a new version of your product, to do something new, to innovate something in your business, you better run a course design sprint, or a design sprint in general, if it's for a different type of product other than course. And you can make this design sprint kind of a practice, a common practice in your business, regardless of what you sell. If you sell courses, it's going to be a course design sprint, and the method has been tailored and tweaked to fit the needs of course developers. But if you are doing some other types of products, maybe you're doing, I don't know, membership sites, or just building other types of portals, or you might consider using design sprint on an ongoing basis in your business, just to answer this question: what my customers would like to buy, instead of just relying on assumptions, on guesstimates and luck. So for many companies, running design sprints became kind of a regular practice, and it became habitual.
So we've got
the most successful companies. I was mentioning Apple, Netflix. They're doing design sprints and other types of creative workshops on a regular basis.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that. And that's the thing, learn how to do it once, and then rinse, wash, repeat, apply it whenever you need it. You know, it's a tool for your tool belt. Dale has a question. What if we already have content ready for a course? So I think, and another way I might ask that is, you know, what if if somebody's watching this and they have an idea and they want to do a course and they're at the very beginning, what would they give out of it versus somebody who is, maybe they're already moving, maybe their course isn't getting traction, or maybe they're halfway into the build. Like, speak to the already in progress course creator as well.
If you already have the content or most of the content for your course, the design sprint will give you the opportunity to test exactly what part of the content is of most interest for your learners. If you have some content which hasn't been delivered yet to your learners, is just assumptions, is not really tested. You just assume your learners will love your content, your course. In order to make sure, you need to put this content in a course prototype and to validate it with your learners. If you already have content, however, it's going to be much easier for you to do the prototyping. You won't need to write down everything in a single day. You'll have bits and pieces of content, and you'll be able to assemble a prototype much easier than someone who doesn't have any piece of content. So yeah, if you already have a course which is not performing well, or even if you have a course which is doing well in terms of course completion rates, in terms of sales, whatever metric you want to consider, you might use a design sprint just to boost the business behind that course. Even if it's doing well now, you can use design sprint to get more accuracy in predicting what your customers want, what your learners want to get from you. So if your course is making, I don't know, 10K a month, perhaps if you're running a design sprint with testing with the real learners, perhaps you could grow this business and make it 20K or 30 or 50, whatever. It's just a matter of applying math on numbers.
Awesome. And Dale also asked, so is this a group training where multiple companies will be doing this together, like a mastermind or something? So there is, like, the mastermind is a powerful concept where, like, when a bunch of minds get together, magic happens, which is why one of the reasons it's so cool that this is a design sprint panel that you see before you today with Sebastian, myself, Georgian, Bogdan, and Kathy, and then some sprint customer or showcase person is going to join that team as well. Now, the audience that comes, like when you buy your ticket for $199, you're going to, like I said, like the best way to do it in my view is give yourself 2 weeks, 1 week to learn, 1 week to do, and be open to, you know, meeting new like-minded course creating people, like maybe in the comments or wherever. So that's, we had a pop-up Slack channel for the sprint, and people started connecting with each other and stuff. So yeah, but I would say it's mostly this first round is a learning journey, is what it's about. Learn how to do the process.
And as a different from any other mastermind, I would say that in a mastermind group, usually you are exploring ideas, you are doing a lot of ideation, but not necessarily the implementation. In a design sprint, you are doing both of them. You are ideating for 2 days, and then you are implementing for another 2 days. So as opposed to a mastermind, which is mostly for group brainstorming and raising or exploring new ideas, design sprint is for testing ideas. So just in case you are part of a mastermind group and probably a lot of ideas are flowing in that mastermind group, you could use design sprint, in that group to actually test the ideas that are coming up. So try to combine the two experiences in a more cohesive, let's say, or comprehensive way of innovating, because it's all about innovating. It's all about generating new ideas and testing them and implementing them.
And just a couple other quick questions here. So the 4 days are recorded and given to you. Yes, they are. We're capturing the whole process inside of a course which you will get access to. And that's for a year's worth of access. The dates of the live event have been locked. So they're not flexible. But if you cannot make those dates or some of those dates, this time, we didn't do this last time, but this time we're incorporating, recorded trainings, which will be available inside of the LMS along with templates and whatnot. So yes, it's going to be there. And then Deborah has a great question. Before executing a sprint, she wants to know, how well do you need to know your audience? And before you answer this, Sebastian, I just want to say, like, this is one of the biggest things I see in just course creation in general, is if we don't know who we're serving and we don't have a clear, compelling offer, everything else doesn't matter. But or it's not that it doesn't matter, but like we end up hitting a lot of friction. So but I also know that course creators and coaches and people who want to serve and help are also highly creative people, often very sensitive, often good with working with all kinds of different people. So I understand also just that, maybe we could help a lot of different kinds of people and we're not super clear on our who yet. But when it comes to the design sprint process, like, let's say for anybody, not just the showcase or sprint customer, to move forward, how clear do they need to be on their who to effectively run the process?
It's extremely important. As a matter of fact, that's the pivotal role of the expert. And that's why the sprint starts with the expert interview, because if you don't collect this knowledge about the problems you're attempting to solve, or the people having these problems, you might go with the sprint in a very wrong direction. So it's really important for the expert in the design sprint to really know their topic, their people, their niche, their learners. So the more you invest in doing the so-called user research, and the more empathy you put into that research, the better is the chance that your design sprint will produce a meaningful result, rather than just ticking the box. For the rest of the team, it's not really necessary or required to be knowledgeable in the area that the course is addressing. Let me just give you an example. If we'll pick someone by chance who is doing photography courses, I would know pretty much nothing about that. So I'm totally illiterate when it comes about photography, but that doesn't prevent me to run the process and to help everyone in the team to follow all these exercises. But the expert needs to be quite strong in knowing everything about their market, about their people, and the problems faced by their people, by their learners.
That's awesome. And Deborah, you just had a question about if you're checking out on the lifterlms.com/sprint, there is a PayPal option. The way it works, this is actually the Lifter checkout. There's a credit card option, and then there's a PayPal option. If you choose the PayPal option, it's going to take you over to PayPal. And then once you complete it inside PayPal, it kicks you back over to the Lifter LMS site. If you have any trouble with that at all, just shoot us an email, team@lifterlms.com, and we'll figure something out. But that's it for questions. We're actually a little bit over on time. I want to be respectful of everybody's time. And thank you, Sebastian, for
Thank you.
this great presentation. Thank you, everybody, for coming in the audience. Georgian, Bogdan, Kathy, thanks for being on the panel here and kind of we're getting warmed up. We're getting ready for our next sprint coming on July, what were
14th.
July 14th. And like we said at the beginning of the webinar, we do draw we were doing one of our $99 Lifter LMS giveaways. Dino, you're the winner of the free year of that. So just in the chat, we got an email us at team@lifterlms.com and we'll hook you up. So congratulations to Dino. So any questions at all about the design sprint, just shoot us an email, team@lifterlms.com. I hope to see you in the 4-day challenge. It's going to be a lot of fun. I promise you it's going to deliver a great ROI for your business and really your life, to have clarity. Because really that's what we're all after, is knowing, who we're serving, what problems we're solving. And I'm serious about, I'm a marketer guy. So like, yeah, I like marketing and stuff, but what's easy to sell? Something that people crave,
Exactly.
want from somebody who they feel like understands them and is knows how to meet their needs. And it's just that this is next level stuff here, and it doesn't need to take forever. You just need to commit 4 days and $200. And yeah, I look forward to seeing you inside the training. That's at lifterlms.com/sprint. Go ahead, if you're watching this live or on the replay, try to get in quick. We got a little fast action coupon code. That's FAST, FAST. Use that coupon code at checkout on lifterlms.com/sprint. Sebastian, thank you. I am so looking forward to doing this again. Any final words before we sign off today?
Thank you, Chris, and thank you everyone who is on the call. Thank you for spending these 2 hours with us. I hope I managed to convince you at least a little bit about the value of design sprint. And I'm looking forward to be working with you in the real thing. That was just the warm-up, like Chris said. It was just a presentation. Get yourself prepared for the real thing, which is going to happen July 14th through 17th. I can't wait to start working with you.
Awesome. Well, thank you, everyone.
See you all in
Thank you.
34 days.
Thank you, everyone.
34 days.
All right. We'll see you then. Take care, everybody. Thanks for